Hi everyone, so in today's video I'll be showing you how to use the code par.mfrow. So this code basically means that you'd like to see all the graphs that you have coded for displayed at one time rather than having to run each and every single code for your graphs and having to view it individually. I've already created two variables called height and weight, and I've chosen to just generate random numbers at normal distribution at +1 distribution. So the code for par.mfrow goes after you've coded for your variables, but before you've coded for your graphs, if that makes sense. So just tidy this up a bit. So let's start with the code, and it's par bracket mfrow, and this equals to C bracket. In this brackets, you're basically wanting to tell R how you want the graphs to be set out. So I have two graphs that I'm going to make, and that's a histogram for height and a histogram for weight. So I'm going to do 1, 2. So that's I'm just telling. So that's basically saying that I have two graphs and I want it to be set out next to each other. So the numbers that you enter here really depends on how many graphs you want and how you want it to be set out. I only have two graphs, and that's the reason why I'm doing 1, 2. So right after that, you want to enter your code for histogram or any other graph that you're using, it does not matter. So I will do height, and I'll do a histogram for weight. And I'm going to run this all together. So there you have it. You have your histogram of height and your histogram of weight side by side to each other. So again, just to reiterate what I just said before, the numbers basically tell R that you'd like your two graphs set out next to each other. Now if, for instance, I wanted to change the color just because it looks nice, let's call this blue, and let's make this one pink. Let's run that. And there you have it. It looks nice. You can see the difference now. It doesn't look all the same, so you're able to compare your two variables. Now, for instance, if I were to create another variable. So let's say I want to create a variable for something I can measure, like the length of your arm span, for instance. So let's name our variable arm span. And let's just do a random distribution, random normal distribution of n equals 100, a mean of maybe 102 centimeters, and a standard deviation of maybe a standard deviation of 3. So let's go ahead and run that. So we now have another variable. So I'm going to make a histogram for this variable arm span, and I'm going to go ahead and run it. So if you notice here, I've got 3 graphs at the moment, but this will not work. So if I run that, this will not work because I have not changed the number here, right? So now that I have 3 graphs, I'm going to change the number to 3. And I will run that. And here we're basically telling R, can you please display these 3 graphs side by side and basically in just one row. And I would like to color this graph as well, maybe light green. I really don't like the bright green. Command run. So there we have it. So now that looks neat and tidy, and you can see all the graphs in one go. It means that you can analyze this much easier, and you can compare, differentiate between these graphs and how they're distributed, etc. So that is how you use the code par.mfrow. Of course, you don't necessarily need to only use histograms. So of course, you can use this code for any graphs that you're plotting. It doesn't necessarily have to be for an histogram. So that's the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope that the way I explained it was easy enough for you to understand. So once again, if there's something specific you need help for and don't understand a code and the way it works, please do comment down below, and I will hopefully be able to make a video for that.